Hello and welcome to We Mean Business. It's a week before Diwali and time not just for festivity, family, food and celebration, but also for those long shopping sprees that are pretty much customary to this festival. Estimates suggest about 30 to 40% of total consumer spends happen in this festival quarter. But with the economy slowing down, inflation remaining sticky, interest rates not coming off, and consumer sentiment at significant lows, is the average Indian going to open up his or her purse strings? Will consumer demand that's moderated over the past few months see a revival? And what really will car makers, retailers and manufacturers have to do to lure customers back onto the shop floor? Joining me to debate this is a power-packed panel. Ajit Joshi, CEO and MD of Croma, the retail store, joins us in the Mumbai studio. Also joining in the Mumbai studio is Mr. A. Mahendran, MD at Godrej Consumer Products. From BluFin India is Debopam Chaudhuri. They've recently come out with a very interesting study on consumer confidence analysis. And for a banker's perspective, we have Seshadri, ED at the Bank of India, also joining in from Mumbai. Later on the show, to get a perspective on how demand from the auto sector is faring, we'll also be joined by P Balendran. He is, of course, the Vice President at General Motors. So we have a packed panel to, in fact, debate this. But before we begin the debate, just want to flag off an interesting study done by ASSOCHAM that could potentially set the stage for what's expected this Diwali. The industry body feels majority of consumers will spend less this festive season. In fact, 71% of those polled are worried about inflation, jobs, shrinking salaries. 51% feel they should spend less due to price increases, while 54% of those polled say they would buy only in sales or if goods are discounted. What's also interesting to note is that most consumers feel discounts and freebies aren't genuine and should be taken with a pinch of salt. The only one segment that's largely unaffected by inflation and for whom it possibly could be business as usual is the high-income group of consumers. Let's get in Mr. Ajit Joshi first, because he has a bird's-eye view of the shop floor. Do you really broadly agree with what ASSOCHAM is saying, or are things different?
We are seeing very different behavior of Indian consumers on our shop floor. If you look at 15th August, which is just the first indicator how the season will pan out for you, it was absolutely brilliant. A single day trading on that day was 21 crores, followed by Navratri and then the Dashera, which is the second highest trading day for us. We recorded a highest sale of 22 crores, 22.5 crores on that day, which was brilliant. And throughout the Navratri, we have seen people coming back and actually shopping, and shopping in big numbers. So our feeling is it's very different than what your study shows.
Right. Mr. Mahendran, September to December is a very crucial period for companies. I mean, 30 to 40% is the sort of number that's been pegged at. We've covered more than half of that. We've had the Dussehra period gone by. We have Diwali and Christmas now to look forward to. How has the trend been in the first half, and what do you expect now during Diwali and Christmas?
As far as fast-moving consumer goods is concerned, the first half is tracked very well, definitely in terms of consumption. And as regards the third quarter, we are quite buoyant, particularly the recent announcement by RBI on CRR, etc., the cash flows are coming in. So we at the FMCG sector, we are quite buoyant this season, particularly the Diwali, the festive season, in terms of it should do very well. And broadly, FMCG in all these consumer sentiments, basically, it doesn't get much affected, because fast-moving consumer goods is a lot of utilities and etc., except a little bit of impulse buying is there in the FMCG sector too.
Mr. Seshadri, he referred, of course, to the CRR cut by the Reserve Bank of India. There's also a sort of feel-good factor that's set in with the government, doing a lot of reform bit on its own part. Would these cursory moves by the Reserve Bank and really the government make, or rather bring about any change on the ground? What's the banking perspective?
No, as far as the retail segment spending habits and spending issues are concerned, we have not seen significant drop in those. The fast-moving consumer products has always been seeing, in fact, growth. And then if you are to see the saving growth, in fact, there has been marginally going down in terms of savings, indicating that, in fact, more and more savers, in fact, tend to spend money. And generally, we see, in fact, in this third and fourth quarter, a large amount of spending happening on the consumer durables. And that is where the personal loan segment, the retail segment, basically, in fact, is an indication of how the consumer behavior pattern basis is observed. And we are not seeing any significant drop in the interest. So, consumers on the retail segment, in fact, do in fact have a tendency to spend, and festival season basically brings about a large amount of the spending happening there. And liquidity, of course, is not a constraint. I mean, we have seen significant amount of liquidity on the retail segment, and marginally some of the retail segments saw a softening of the interest rate ahead of the busy spending season on the retail segment.
But sir, how's been the demand for a lot of those festive offerings that banks have come out with? I mean, we've had banks offering limited period loans with interest rate cuts. What's been the demand been like so far?
On the personal front, in fact, demand has been, in fact, going up, and normally the first quarter will not have much of a demand, and the third and fourth quarter, in fact, will see a pent-up demand, and we see the personal loan segment, in fact, significantly going up.
All right, if I can get Mr. Chaudhuri in, amid all of this optimism, there's one survey, and that's yours, which seems to be a little pessimistic because you've had a slight bit of uptick that we've seen in October, but it's nothing much to speak about, sir. In the consumer confidence data.
Yeah, that's right. So before I say about the data, let me give you a brief context about what this data is all about. We at BluFin create what we call the BluFin Consumer Confidence Index of India. And this is like a monthly barometer of what the consumers in India are thinking or feeling like. And it is through this survey, we reach out to 4,000 consumers in 18 cities spread across metros, Tier 1 and Tier 2 every month. And we talk to them about their aspirations, their spending patterns, and their thoughts regarding inflation and employment. And unfortunately, the trends that we have been observing, especially since July 2012, is not very encouraging. What we see is definitely suggests that there is a grave slowdown in the consumer sector, which means consumers are not at all comfortable in spending on discretionary items like durables, furnitures, electronics, vehicles, or even purchasing new homes. So they are definitely on a wait and watch kind of a mode, even in this festive season.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display, full screen view, faster response time, and Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.